Hello and welcome to this special show, Regulating Realty. I'm Nayantara. We're actually back on popular demand. This is a show we're dedicating to you, our viewers, who have been calling and tweeting us with all the various questions that you have on the new real estate regulator. Today is 3rd of May, which means India should have met its state with a real estate regulator, but all the states have not played ball. They have not notified RERA as yet. RERA, of course, has been credited for bringing in that much-needed transparency in the very opaque property market. Buyers to this act are supposed to be protected from delayed possession. Builders can no longer change building plans midway through construction and not deliver what they promise. There can be no false advertising either. And buyers will get what they paid for, as builders will only be allowed to quote a price on the carpet area and no longer on the super area. That includes balconies, common spaces, parking lots, etc. Then, let's talk about delayed possession. There's a penalty interest of 10% that should have kicked in from Monday against late deliveries by builders. There's also talk of imprisonment of errant builders. However, many states are expected to dilute that. Some of them have already done so. 70% of the buyer's advance has to be kept in a separate bank account, so builders can no longer divert funds. But like I told you at the beginning of this show, all the states have not played ball. All the states have still to notify RERA. So we're back on popular demand. Call us on ET now. The phone number is going to be flashing on your screens. You can also tweet us your queries, and we've got a power-packed panel to answer all of your queries. So we're joined by Rakesh Khanna of RK Law Offices. He's very well known in the National Capital Region. He's beaten some of the big prominent builders in the Delhi High Court as well as in Chandigarh. We're also joined by E Jayashree Kurup. She's the head of content for MagicBricks.com. So you're seeing a bit of reverse engineering here, as well as Niraj Kumar from DSK Legal joining us live right here. Thank you, all my panelists, for joining us. I'm going to begin with the first query, and my producer does tell me that this is coming in from social media. It's from Kinod Patra on Twitter, who's asked, do delayed projects like Unitech and Unihomes 3 in Noida Sector 113 come under RERA? I don't know if my panelists offhand will know if this one particular project will be covered under RERA or not. But Niraj, do you want to just quickly for our viewers recap which are the projects that could be covered under RERA, or at least the spirit of RERA as determined by the Parliament?
Sure. So what is provided in RERA is any ongoing project will also be required to be register itself with the authority. That means that any project which has not yet obtained completion certificate should ideally be registering itself with the authority. Though the draft rules that has come for the state of UP, which is being reviewed by the current regime now, that has provided that in certain circumstances, such as where the builder has offered possession to the consumers, in such cases such projects will not be required to be registered. Though it's slightly difficult to understand or to foresee how a project which has not yet obtained completion certificate or occupancy certificate can be offered to the consumers or to the flat allottees for residency. So, I mean, I'm not talking about the specific project, but as a principle, if it's an ongoing project, then within 3 months of the promulgation of RERA, that is 90 days from now, ideally it should get registered with the authority.
So like Kirot Patra was asking, I don't expect Jayashree you to also know offhand whether Unihomes 3 in Noida Sector 113 will come under RERA, but Jayashree, what's your hunch? Do you think those projects that are covered under RERA going forward command a higher price?
It's like this. All projects that have not got a completion certificate and occupancy certificate will come under RERA. And these projects have not been completed, they haven't got their occupancy, and therefore they will be under RERA. Will this increase the price of these homes? That's like a too general a statement. Let me tell you what really happens. When the project is under RERA, all the clearances, whatever the details of the projects are already there on the site for consumers to check out. As the project progresses, the project finances have to be taken from a special account. These are projects that have already been launched, and these projects, a lot of the money has been used in other places. So will all the money come into that account? It's good for future projects. For projects that are already there, we don't know how much of that money will come into that special account.
Okay, that's a good perspective to have as well for all of you that might be thinking, do you want to buy a project today, if it's going to be covered under RERA or not? And we've got two experts to tell you what are the kind of projects that will be covered under RERA. I'm going to now throw open the phone line to my first caller. Hi, I believe Niraj Aneja from Gurgaon is joining us. Hi Niraj, what's your query?
हेलो हाय मैम, मैंने ये सुपरटेक इकोविलेज 2 से फ्लैट खरीदा था इन ईयर 2012. ओके, अब 2017 है, वी डिड नॉट गेट द फ्लैट टिल नाउ. ओके, एंड दे आर आस्किंग फॉर एक्स्ट्रा पेमेंट ऑल्सो, like we have increased the super area and also we have to pay the 60,000 extra to the farmers. That buyer has to bear the 60,000. And we have already given all my amount. Okay. I have no extra payment. What to do? I have no. I mean, can you help me in this?
Right. Of course. Rakesh, I'm going to come to you on this one. You know, this is so often that you hear about projects being delayed, consumers like Niraj having to suffer. They have to, so many of them take home loans. They're staying in rented accommodation, and we have seen in the past builders go back to buyers seeking more money, whether it's because of a court directive, which I would understand is here to do with land acquisition and the entire farmer agitation that had taken place, or an increase in super area midway through construction. What would your advice to Niraj be?
Just to clear two things, Niraj. First, the increase in super area during construction is not allowed. The increase in super area must only come up once the project is completed and ready for possession and the as-built drawings are in place so that they can calculate the increase. During construction, an increase is not proper and it should not be there. Having said that, Niraj's problem is that he has paid, booked in 2012 and is still waiting for it. And thousands like him are still waiting for it. But if I see this whole proposition in terms of the new act, RERA, I don't see any help coming to Niraj as far as RERA is concerned, unless and until this particular project gets covered under RERA. The act, the central act, only talks about the completion certificate, whereas I have seen the draft rules from Haryana. They talk about not only the completion certificate, they also talk about part completion, and they also talk about part completion or part occupation certificate. So most of the projects which are not ready today are going to try to get it registered or to escape registration because they have part occupation of certain buildings. Now, Niraj may be in a position, I do not know whether he is in a building which is going to get an occupation certificate within the next 3 months as required under the Act or not. If yes, then within 3 months Niraj will be seeing some kind of solution coming for his problem. But the fact that they are asking for some extra money, he will really have to take a remedy under his agreement with the buyer, which could also be approached to the consumer courts. And I do not know really if, unless the project gets registered under RERA, that he is really going to get help out of it. Hello.
Okay, Niraj, I think you're going to have to first figure out if your project is going to be registered under RERA. There are, of course, draft rules that have been out, but if I'm not mistaken, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh yet have to notify the rules, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to those two states. Niraj, I do hope we've been able to help you out. I'm going to move on to the next viewer query. This one is coming from social media, from Facebook, is what my producer is telling me. And Arvind Soni, who's written, I'm an NRI and my builder Vatika has reneged on a promise of cancelling an apartment and refunding 30% of the payment I made so far. The question he's asking is, how can I recover my money? Niraj, I'm going to throw this one to you. What would your advice to Arvind Soni be? I would imagine because it's Vatika, it's a project that's located in Gurgaon. Or it could even be Jaipur, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Nayantara, can you just repeat the question that he has posed? I could not hear it properly.
The question is that there's an NRI, Arvind Soni, who's booked a flat with Vatika. Doesn't mention the state, but Vatika usually has a presence in Rajasthan and Haryana, saying that Vatika, according to this viewer, has reneged on a promise of returning 30% of the advance that had been paid, as well as cancel the booking. The question is that how can this viewer now recover the money from the builder?
So, cancellation of any booking and recovery amount is purely a contractual issue between the builder and the buyer. So, whatever is provided in the agreement or what has been subsequently agreed between the two is the governing, will be the governing principle between the, as far as refund is concerned. In case it was promised that he will be getting back the 30% without any deduction, and now that is not being honored, he can always go to forums like Consumer Forum and seek remedy there. Alternatively, he can also go for a civil suit, but that will be more elongated process. So, it's much better he moves a Consumer Forum there.
Okay, so advice is at first try and get redressal at the Consumer Forum. Moving on to our next query, I believe a caller is joining us from Mumbai. Ishan, I believe, is joining us. Ishan, what's your query?
Actually, the query is right now I'm looking for a 2 BHK flat in around Thane. So, but what remedy does RERA have for projects which are already completed? So we are talking about so much of hype is there about RERA for under construction projects or projects which are yet to start. But is there any remedy for the project which have been completed? Just like I suppose already project builder was responsible to take care for 2 years. But under RERA it's supposed to take care of 5 years. So will that imply on projects which are completed or not?
Jayashree, I'm going to come to you with this one. You know, this is something we were just discussing a short while back. What would you advise, Ishan? And it's a very legitimate question. Why everybody doesn't just buy an apartment or a house which is launched or just recently launched. There is a flourishing or used to be a flourishing secondary market in real estate.
Any project that is completed, you will not get any redressal from RERA, and RERA says manage it for 5 years. If your contract with the developer was that it will be managed for 2 years after completion, I don't think you will get 5 years as has been proposed in the new laws.
And Rakesh, would you concur with this?
Yes, I think this is the right view. This is very simple. Unless the project gets registered with RERA, it doesn't get covered by the RERA provisions. So in this case, if it is already completed and he has not delivered, or it will not get come under RERA at all.
So Niraj, you know, what about all those people that buy into existing projects which have been around for a few years, or you know, then the maintenance becomes an issue? Very often we see in that project that, you know, maintenance becomes an issue, everything you know, doesn't work as smoothly as it did earlier. Where should such consumers go for redressal because they will not be covered by RERA?
So Nayantara, first of all, the laws that govern this position varies from state to state. Normally it is, generally it is governed by the Ownership of Apartment Act, and that has a different flavor in all different states. As far as this particular issue, which is in Maharashtra, so Maharashtra, you have a special enactment apart from Apartment Ownership Act, that is called MOFA, Maharashtra Ownership of Flats Act. So which basically talks about 2 years of post completion maintenance or the obligation of the developer. As far as rest of the country, for example, say Haryana or UP is concerned, basically this issue is governed by Apartment Ownership Act, where it is clearly provided that upon completion, the maintenance has to be handed over to the RWA. Now, moment it is handed over to RWA, basically you cannot put any obligation on the developer that he is lackadaisical in maintaining it. It's basically I mean, ideally it should be third-party agency. What happens is many of the developers who sell this as their USP, that they maintain their assets very well even after completion. Basically, that's an arrangement which they enter into with the RWA, where their nominated agency or their subsidiary basically enters into an agreement with the RWA to maintain the property, but that's a completely different domain and nothing to do with the delivery related issues. So that is not within the purview of RERA.
Okay, that's it, because that is an important clarification, that what do you do in a project which has been around for a few years? Where do you go for redressal? So that's Niraj from DSK Legal making it quite clear. Time for our next query. We try to take as many as we can so that all of our viewers' queries are addressed. I believe this one is coming in from Twitter. The query is by Mr. Goyal, who writes, Amrapali's Noida Sector 76 project had been halted by builders due to financial restraints. Seemingly, the bank approval came without due diligence. Are banks to be held responsible? Rakesh Khanna, I'm going to come to you with this one. You know, if a consumer cannot even trust a bank-approved project, what is he or she supposed to do? And is there anything under RERA which protects such consumers?
No, the RERA does not cover any of such problem. First of all, RERA is nothing to do with banks. Now, if a bank is approving a project without a due diligence, it's strictly speaking a bank's problem. But nevertheless, the consumer has to, some way or the other, kind of take trust on a due diligence or a bank approval which has to be done. Now, he has to go after the developers. It's the developer's fault that a project has been launched without a proper due diligence or by a bank. Bank is only financing the issue. If bank is not responsible for the project execution at all. So in a situation like this, where he finds out later that it is not even approved by the bank, the only difficulty that he is going to have is in terms of getting loans for his, if he wants a loan to buy the property. But it doesn't fall under any of the development acts or RERA or any of the other acts that the bank should have given a due diligence, and the project can only be launched after a bank due diligence is done. So therefore, on that part, there is nothing much that can be covered, except that he can go after the builder to say that I am in a difficulty today because the approval is not there. Sorry. Nayantara, are you saying something?
So what should this particular viewer do? Yeah, Rakesh, I was asking you, what should this particular viewer do? What would your suggestion to this viewer be on a plan of action?
You see, the question is, this is a very generic question which is there. So unless we have a particular problem on exactly what he is facing because of this non-approval or no due diligence by the bank, really a straight remedy can't be given to him. So as long as the project is under execution and he is under an agreement with the builder, he will have to fulfill his obligations. Because no builder actually promises or says that you must depend on a due diligence appraisal of a bank for the project to take your loans. No builder would promise that.
Jayashree, come in here. You know, we do get to hear.
Or the customer's problem.
Got it. I got it, Mr. Khanna. Jayashree, I want you to come in here. You know, you very often hear about this, how bank-approved projects don't go as per plan, they miss timelines, and it's the buyer that has to continue paying all the various installments. It totally, throws their financials out of whack. And like this particular consumer is asking, if you can't even trust a bank-backed project, what are you supposed to trust?
No, actually, I've been frequently talking to a lot of consumers that the bank does its due diligence to protect its own finances. It's lending its money to you to buy that project, and that the asset has to be, if they screw up on the due diligence, that means that they have their own asset is getting rogered. But the point is that when you put in, say, 70 lakh, 90 lakh into a project, I always advise that you should get an independent legal due diligence of the project done. It costs 5,000 to 8,000 rupees, but when you're spending crores, it makes sense for for you to go back and get a legal entity to do your due diligence. It is very important. The bank doesn't do it for you.
So go ahead and spend extra money, a few thousand rupees, and get your due diligence done by yourself against the builder is the advice that we are getting. Time for the next viewer query. I believe a Vikram Bishnoi from Gurgaon is calling in. Hi Vikram, what's your query?
Hi Nayantara. My query is that how does RERA impact the buyers and the ongoing projects where criminal litigations are already ongoing against the developers?
Niraj, I'm going to give this one to you. How does RERA impact such consumers and builders?
So as far as the developers against which, I mean, it's not yet specified, I mean, what kind of criminal action they are facing. But even if they are facing criminal action on account of fraud or whatever that has been accused by the, I'm assuming that these are the accusations of the buyers against the project developer. So in addition to the whatever charges that has been levied against the developer, under RERA, if the project is falling under RERA, then one more cause of action arises against the developer, and he can approach the authority for the whatever variations or whatever deviations that has been carried out by the developer unauthorizedly, which is basically in violation of RERA, and that can be a separate cause of action. The dispute resolution mechanism in RERA is very speedy one, is provided very speedy one. So I expect that this will be much speedier resolution of dispute than the other conventional one, be it criminal or civil, which is currently existing.
So is it best to keep all options open, keep fighting at the various platforms till you get your first verdict?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Vikram, I hope that does help you out. From Gurgaon to Pune, I believe Sandeep Bhatia is calling in. Hi Sandeep, what do you want our experts to help you with?
Yeah, good evening. I have a query regarding redevelopment. Would redevelopment projects which have been signed in the past but which have not yet taken off come under the purview of RERA? And if yes, then I have a peculiar problem. We have signed a development agreement with a reputed builder in March 2013. But due to reasons best known to the builder, he has been dragging his feet and no building plans have yet been submitted to the BMC, etc. So what legal recourse or action against the builder can be taken by our society under RERA?
Rakesh, would you like to answer this one?
I don't know what he really means by redevelopment. So is it something which was already developed and now there's a new license to it? So that part of his question is not clear. But if it's a development and he has been dragging his feet since 2013 and he has not in fact taken an occupation or a completion certificate, I think a completion certificate as far as Maharashtra is concerned, then obviously he will be in violation after registration of the terms of RERA, and these people can make a complaint under RERA to the authority or regulatory authority. That would be a remedy.
Sandeep, would you like to clarify what kind of redevelopment were you talking about? Were you talking about slum redevelopment? What kind of redevelopment you were talking about?
Yeah, this is a redevelopment of an existing building in Mumbai. And we've signed a development agreement with the builder since 2013. But there's been no further movement in the project. So what I wanted to know was that would RERA apply to this? I mean, to the redevelopment projects in Maharashtra or Mumbai?
Niraj, would you know this? Are you tracking RERA in Maharashtra?
Yeah, Nayantara, can I add? Yeah. So Nayantara, such redevelopment projects will also fall within the purview of RERA. And as far as this particular issue is concerned, has the society already handed over the possession to the developer?
No, the
can they
possession has not
qualify
been
this?
over, luckily.
Okay. And as on date, basically whatever difference of opinion or whatever the differences is existing between the society and the developer, you can actually agitate before either, you can go for a suit as well, because you are the development agreement must be a registered document. You can file a suit for annulment of that if you want. Alternatively, if part of it has already been performed, maybe you will have received some consideration under the development agreement. In that case, you can go for a specific performance as well, where the developer has to perform and get the sanctions etc. from BMC, or it has to explain why such sanctions are not coming in forth and what is its difficulty with BMC.
Okay, I hope, Sandeep, that now we've got everybody to help you answer that. Both the lawyers that we have on the panel, you're getting free legal advice here on ET now. I hope you're satisfied. Moving on to the next viewer query that we've got. I believe this one is coming in from a TK Ram on Twitter. Does RERA impact second sale of flats in Chennai? Should I wait for better prices? Jayashree, I'm going to come to you with this one. You really have a handle on sentiment that is out there in the property market at the moment. We were just talking about this, that is RERA going to have an impact on prices? What's your take for the secondary market first in Chennai? And also tell us what you think is going to, how RERA is going to impact prices, because my personal take would be that if builders are losing fungibility of money thanks to that 70% escrow count rule, somebody is going to have to pay for that, and it's going to be the consumers.
It's like this. If the project is still under RERA, whether it's a primary sale or a secondary sale within the same project, as long as it is yet to get its occupancy certificate, it will definitely come under RERA, and therefore it will be governed by the Act. The Act does not talk about prices, but prices are going to be a function of market economics. And let me spend a minute telling you this. If that market has more supply, and a lot of supply is going to come into the market because a lot of developers are trying to complete projects even in the next 3 months, and so you will see a lot of supply in the market. Will the prices of projects go up because the developers have to finish? I think in the very, very short term, I don't see prices of projects going up significantly. In the medium and long term, will prices go up? I think so, because there's going to be a lot of pressure that is on the developer, and adhering to the law, they cannot launch before they get all the approvals and things like that. So there is going to be a delayed payment, and that will be loaded onto the project, where the consumer has to pay. Also remember that if there is more supply and less demand, you can't see prices going up, and even developers want to sell off the projects. And I don't think very short term, in the next 6 months, will prices go up? I don't think so. But in the next 2 years, will prices go up? Definitely. Once all the compliance starts kicking in, I think prices will go up. And also remember that in the last 1.5 years, there have been no launches. Once the present supply gets sold out, delivered and sold out, you are going to face a period of about 1.5 to 2 years when there will be hardly any new stock hitting the market. That's when prices are going to go up big time.
Okay, so that's how RERA is going to impact property prices. At this juncture, I'd like to thank all my panelists for taking the time out and joining us here on Regulating Realty, the show dedicated to our viewers. We're totally out of time. We still managed to take in a lot of questions. Many thanks for watching this special.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/etnow.